We proceed with the exercise proposed and it tells us that because of stock liquidation, all of the chairs have a discount of 25%. So the way they want us to represent this in the spreadsheet is by inserting a column between the existing ones that indicate the price and quantity. We will label this column as discount, where we will enter the amount we are discounting for liquidation purposes. We will do so in this way. We will go step by step. So they tell us to insert between the price column and the quantity column a column that we are going to label as discount. Of course, here the problem we face is that we are going to alter the structure of the spreadsheet. But it's a spreadsheet that we prepared earlier and which, after this, are that we are going to touch. Has expressions that make reference to cells. For example, in this case it makes a relative reference to the cells that are immediately to the left. Of course, if we insert a column between the B and C, what will happen with these references to B2 multiplied by C2? To those that are immediately to the left? Okay. Excel is a program that has been built precisely to allow us to create spreadsheets and modify them. So it is truly, in most cases, going to treat the modifications that we make in the way that it intuitively thinks is appropriate. In the specific case of inserting columns, we can position ourselves in column C, which is going to end up immediately after the one we want to insert, and clicking the right button plus insert. Automatically it inserts a column in the position immediately before that one where they are located. We have achieved what we wanted between the price and quantity column. Insert a column that we are going to label discount, and we will be able to follow the construction of this spreadsheet. First, checking that the relative reference to the two cells that had the price and the quantity has been amended in its formulation but not in its meaning, and continues to be the correct value. We proceed with the proposed exercise and it tells us to enter in a cell, in the one we want, the text value. The header liquidation discount, which is the value 25% that we are going to enter in another cell, where we think is most appropriate in the spreadsheet. Discount and liquidation and the value. Since here we have a discount column, it seems reasonable that we would put this value 25% in column C, in one of the positions that we have empty or where we make a bit of space, given that since this discount that we are going to apply to just some of the furniture and not to all of it, it seems reasonable that we would apply this discount before applying the general discount and calculating the sum total, etc. So it would seem reasonable, for example, to introduce the discount in the position before the sum. For example, we say here we insert a row, exactly the same thing is going to happen. All formulae referring to the range immediately above, if I insert a row, what will happen is that the expression will be reformulated properly so that the concept remains exactly as it should be. Here we can continue and we are going to put in this cell, for example, we are going to introduce the value 25%, which is the value that we are going to apply in this column to these quantities where it corresponds. And we have to tag, like with all of the values that we have in a spreadsheet. We have to properly label it with what they proposed, which was liquidation discount. Okay, we are going to put this expression liquidation discount, which we see is such a large text that it is not going to all fit in the cell it is allocated to. This is not too troublesome. In general, when we have text values, given that it is not such a problem for Excel to invade the cell to the right, where it is needed to accommodate the whole or most part of the characters that we want to introduce in cell 1. This should not confuse us due to the fact that all of the characters are in cell 1. In fact, if here we write any quantity, for example a 1, automatically the 1 would take its place and we would cut short the rest of the text. We would cut it short to what fits in the current width of the column. But the content is liquidation discount, so if we made this column wider or we made the letter type smaller, then logically more letters would fit. In any case, is not serious in text data that we cut it a bit short, unlike with numerical values. Logically, if we have a very long number with many digits, we cannot hide a given figure just because it doesn't fit. In this case, we know that what Excel does is to strike through all of the numbers, and although it still considers them, and can work quite properly with them, it will not show them in order for us not to make a mistake. This is a very interesting characteristic of Excel, but one that, in this case, we can check. We borrow a bit of space from cell B9 because it is not being used for anything. Now we have to apply this 25% to the chairs. Well, we would apply it by multiplying. It is as simple as we multiply the quantity of the unit price by the discount that we have to apply. Okay. If we do this, as simple as we have indicated in this expression, we see that for this particular case it has applied it correctly. 25% of 12 is 3 euros. But we cannot fill it down and we cannot copy it either. For example, we know that when we fill down an expression, it copies the contents of the formula. But if I copy the contents of this expression, of this formula, we see that 0 appears. Why 0? Well, precisely because here the expression, the two references are relative, so when I copy this formula down, logically all of the relative references are going to go down. And in one case it is going to change it to multiplying B5, but multiplied by the contents of cell C10. This is not correct. It must always be cell C9. That is, I have to put the reference to cell C9, I have to make it so that it is an absolute reference. We did it by successively clicking the F4 key until it tells us that, in this case, at least the reference to row 9 is fixed by prefixing it with the $sign. We click F4 only once and we see that it proposes $C$9. Since we are not going to move columns, we don't need this one. What is important is that the 9 be preceded by the $. This is an absolute reference to the contents 25%, so I can now copy or fill down this expression with this pattern. I can copy it to both the camping and beach chair without any problem. I have indicated the discount that I will apply in the case of the chair to conclude the exercise. What they tell us is to calculate the discounted value using a reference to the corresponding cell and obtain the new total amount for what we want to buy. So what we want to buy, the new total amount. Logically, we'll see changes in the items of furniture or chairs with this discount, something we had not contemplated before. Here, we are still considering the original value. Logically, to do this we have to change this expression and multiply the number 4. We will have to multiply it by the price it gives, 12 minus the discount applied, 3. So we are going to have to modify this formula and tell us that it is B4 minus C4. All of it multiplied by D4. Here we have to consider the preference in the expressions, so that they will always be evaluated. If I don't put any parentheses, first the multiplication will be evaluated before the addition or subtraction, meaning it would not correct. Here I would multiply B4 12 minus the result of applying the discount to the amount, which doesn't make sense. Logically here I have to enter a parenthesis, both at the end here and here. And so now we would have B4 minus C4 net price, the retail price minus the discount. 12 minus 3 equals 9, and 9 multiplied by 4 logically has to give me 36. This is the quantity that I have solely in the modified expression in this table, which will serve for all the chairs. And it also has to serve for the rest because I have to build the spreadsheet coherently, in such a way that if I now applied a specific discount to the lamp, Logically, the construction of the spreadsheet has to be consistent. There is no problem in expanding this fill down to all of these cells in such a way that the price minus the discount is indicated in all of them. I multiply it by the quantity, and where the cell is empty will apply a discount 0. Meaning the new quantity we get is 504. 57 with the discounts already applied and building the spreadsheet as indicated in the exercise. That was all for today. See you all in the next lesson.